My name's Mac Porter Stein, and I love video games.
I'm the Megabuck. I really love video games.
I'm Rafa Bully, and I love video games.
Hey friends, Benny here, and I love video games.
And welcome to the Game Treasure Podcast, where we talk about treasured video games of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. The reason I did that ridiculous Norman Reedus accent at the beginning of the show is because it's National Walk to Work Day. And I'm stretching.
Yeah.
It's National Walk to Work Day.
I did not make the connection.
And we are talking about Death Stranding.
That's perfect. I love
Mac,
you, Mac.
isn't it late to be talking about Death Stranding? That game come out several years ago. Well, sorry. We didn't have this show several years ago. So Hideo Kojima's got another one on the way. It's something to do with Hanging 10, I think. Something at the beach. And I think it's a surfing game. So we're going to talk about one of the greatest walking simulators of all time, actually, now that I've played it. But first, we've got a couple. I wasn't going to cover the news this week, guys. I'm going to level with you. But I couldn't not cover the news this week when the Red vs. Blue movie was announced. Guys, we're keeping them alive. I don't know.
We did it again.
We did it again.
He did it again.
Saved Red vs. Blue.
Pack it up,
As I
boys.
said-
Mission accomplished.
As I said, next week they're probably going to announce Barony 2 or some shit like that.
Right.
Oh, no.
Oh my goodness! I wore this shirt in honor of both America, on behalf of Death Stranding, and behalf of the Red vs. Blue movie. It's titled Red vs. Blue Restoration. The trailer was dropped just a couple days ago, as of this recording. I guess it'll be a week ago. Yeah, the original, one of the original co-creators, a guy who, this has got to be a fake name, but his name is Bernie Burns. Is that real?
Yeah,
Does that
Bernie
sound
Burns,
real?
you know,
Bernie
my bro.
Burns.
My
It
buddy
could
Bernie
be real.
Burns.
It could be real.
He's returning to the project. He was one of the original creators of the show, and he left Rooster Teeth in like 2019 or something. So he's coming back to make it. And the synopsis of the trailer seems to be that it's all about the Reds and the Blues having to come together to fight some sort of existential threat.
Like
Probably
capitalism.
Game Pass. Probably Game Pass.
Oh,
See?
shit.
I was in
Baby.
the middle of saying capitalism, and you said Game Pass.
Taking
roasted that.
swings.
Got him.
Guys, what's the next thing that we're going to will into being? Because we wield enormous power on this podcast.
It's very true.
That's a very good point, Raph.
Yeah.
Any ideas? Any ideas on your end?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Can I get that Resident Evil 9 already? Like, can I get that maybe?
Can we get the
Yeah.
Resident Evil 1 remake that's the over-the-shoulder?
Oh, that'd be cool too. That could be
How
cool
do
too.
we will it into being with our powers? How do our powers
I
work?
have no
Do we just have to
idea how
like
they work.
I don't know.
I think so far we've had to focus on a bleak or dire circumstance surrounding surrounding
Right.
a certain IP,
Ah.
and then all of a sudden,
Bankruptcy.
Yeah.
So someone's
All
got to bankrupt someone who makes Resident Evil, and then they'll be
Yeah,
like, "Oh
yeah,
no,"
Capcom,
something like this. All right, real quick. The second story is another one that I couldn't pass up when I saw it. I'm gonna share some photos. Akira Toriyama, Dragon Ball Super, the manga is done. And one of the co-creators, I forget this gentleman's name, but he shared this note that Akira Toriyama made about the last page of the last issue of Dragon Ball Super. And real quick, I'm going to share it in our Discord, and then I will put it up on the video. But if you look, the first panel here is the way it was going to end is Goku literally remembers that he has a granddaughter, and is like, "Oh shit, my whole family." And it ends with them all basically having a big happy ending where they fly off into the distance, presumably on another crazy Dragon Ball Z adventure. And then Akira Toriyama made some notes, and then we have the following page, and he suggested, why don't we have Piccolo in the last few panels of the manga turn around and give a little wave. He's waving to Pan's kindergarten teacher, but come on, he's waving
at us.
He's waving at you, the viewer, right?
yeah,
It's well known that Akira Toriyama's favorite character was Piccolo. He's been cited on many interviews saying as such. So I don't know, man.
better dad than Goku will ever be.
Yeah,
Literally
right, yeah.
raised all of Goku's children. Like that was the premise. Is like Pan is being trained by Piccolo, and Goku's like, "Oh yeah, I forgot that I have a granddaughter." He's such a
Yeah.
Piccolo is like
Deadbeat dad.
when you love your mom and dad split, and you end up with your mom, and you love your mom so much, and she picks a great guy to get with, and now all of a
Yes!
sudden stepdad Piccolo is this anime stepdad that
Yeah.
everyone likes more than real dad.
yeah.
So can we have
It's
Piccolo on
not
the
my
Reese's-
fault.
on the Reese's Puffs box or what?
So that's it, really. It's just this touching. I don't know. I looked at this image and
That's cool.
the stance that Piccolo's in, like looking back, like see you guys later, and then he literally like flies off to heaven.
It's really great.
just
It's
like,
really great.
Yeah,
it's
it's
so
immensely
sad.
sweet.
Oh, cool, man.
Oh, I know. Yeah, that's
You're
too
about
many
to will a
times.
new Dragon Ball game into existence.
There you
with all this
go.
smack.
There
That's
it is.
that's how our
That's what
powers
it
work.
is.
Dragon
That's
Ball
what we're
Fighter
doing.
Z2.
Yeah. But enough about that. That's the end of my news stories.
Oh, good. I'm glad we're done with the news because, guys, I want to go back.
In time.
Submitted for the approval of the Retro Game Treasure podcast, I bring to you Daisuke Ishiwatari's masterpiece series, Guilty Gear.
Oh,
Hell yeah.
Oh.
Not
Here
just
in
any
particular-
Guilty Gear.
Here in particular, we've got Guilty Gear X2 Sharp Reload.
Blah, 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 blah.
Because
That's a good
Japanese
one.
naming nomenclature.
Yeah, baby.
I forgot
Oh
the
my
Midnight
God.
Carnival, which is also a subscript of Guilty Gear X and Guilty Gear X.
That time I got reincarnated into a slime's body in a Guilty Gear X
Oh, yeah.
video game, the
Yeah.
anime part 5.
Yeah, not to be confused with the 2v2 Guilty Gear Brawler, which was called Guilty Gear X Accent Core Plus something
Stinky
else.
Dipey channel gold max platinum plus.
It sounds like my son made that up, and he's 5.
Well, shitty-
good
shit-
job because
yeah.
it kicks ass.
Yeah. I was
Man.
gonna say shitty naming aside, the Guilty Gear series is absolutely phenomenal anime
Yes, it is.
fighting game style. You go back to this one, which would have come out in like the early 2000s ish, back after the series had the first one had kind of died off on the Dreamcast, and they forgot about it for just a minute. And then it came back hard and fierce on the PS2 with the release of Guilty Gear X and Midnight Carnival, adding new characters, added Eno and Zappa and a couple others in there.
Bridget.
Oh yeah, that's
And
how could you
my
forget
favorite, Slayer.
Slayer. Oh, that's
Hell
good
yeah.
stuff. Yeah, the Vampire Slayer.
Mm-hmm.
Not the Vampire Slayer. The Vampire, Slayer.
Dude, the
Yes.
music in that game rips.
So the same guy.
Yes.
The same guy who created this series, Daisuke Ishiwatari, also composes all the music.
Mm.
No way, dude. I didn't
Yes.
know that.
Wild.
Yeah,
Yes.
dude.
So
That
it's-
is really
super cool.
something.
it's almost like that. What's that? It's almost like the Phineas and Ferb syndrome. Like, did they make the game so that he could put his music in?
Right.
something?
Or is he a
Oh
musician
my
that
God.
made one of the baddest ass anime
Yes.
fighters ever?
So the Guilty Gear series, if you've never played, though, I mean, it just oozes like Japanese style, manga style, everything else too.
Yeah,
And
dude.
I imagine most of you guys have played it, or if you haven't, we can talk about it too. But I want to know who everybody's character is in the Guilty Gear series.
Bro,
Oh
let
man,
me,
I got
first
to
of
look
all,
up names. It's
Yeah,
I
I'll be
want
honest
to.
with
No,
you, it's
I
been
got
such
you
a long
because
time.
I haven't played this game in a hot minute, but me and Buck used to play the fuck out of this game.
there he
And
is.
so I just did a quick googling, and I was just like, oh my god! I just in my notes, I just in all capital letters wrote so many amazing characters in this game.
Yeah.
Soul Bad Guy, Zato
yeah.
1, Bridget, Zappa, Eno, Robokai, Slayer, Testament, Dizzy, Justice, Venom, Biken, Johnny. These one-word names are like the most fucking kick-ass. And if you know the characters that I'm talking about, every time I say one of those names, you're like,
Yeah.
ooh, you mean Venom, the guy who has all of his hair in front of his face and uses a pool cue to magically shoot fucking
Oh,
billiard balls across it? Or are you talking about Zato 1, the guy who's possessed by a demon shadow who fights separately with it? Or are you talking about the Zappa, the character who's literally possessed by the girl from The Ring?
Yeah, one of
Literally.
one of the spirits that controls him. Yeah.
This game has some of the best and widest ranging character design
Mhm.
because along with those things, there's also like a kung fu girl who works at a restaurant. Like there's a demon girl who's got an angel wing and a devil wing. There's a big Russian
Dizzy, yeah.
tank guy like Faust. Oh my
There
God,
he
one of
is.
the
Yeah.
most fantastic
There he
characters
is.
of all times.
Dr. Baldhead, if you played
Yeah.
the older Guilty Gear games.
For me, it's ooh,
Biken.
Angie Mito is my
yeah,
character of
fans.
choice personally. The
Ooh,
fan wielding,
fans and
traditional,
stomp.
yes, Japanese garbed warrior.
I got to
My
think
number
for
one-
kind of main characters. I like Soul
Yeah.
Bad Guy.
So, oh no, he's a Ryu main. I mean, a Soul
Yeah.
Bad Guy. Better than
Yeah.
Kai. You're doing
Yeah.
better than Kai Kisuke
Yeah.
because he is a jerk.
My number one is definitely Faust, Dr. Faust.
Ooh, yeah.
Especially that rendition of him with his like man-sized scalpel, standing with his like hip jutted out like a fucking JoJo Bizarre Adventure villain. Like
I was just
Dio.
about to say this whole game has so much JoJo vibes because like there's 100 million references to rock music. Like half the
Yes.
characters are just
Yes.
named.
After
the
Maybe that's
names
why I
are
like it so
references.
much.
Something.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then all of the songs, reference of the songs in this game are baller, and he's correct. And
Yeah.
I actually pulled some because
Hell yeah.
this I should preface that this was, in my opinion, really one of the first anime fighters.
Absolutely.
Not only was it
Especially the
styled
first
like
stage,
anime, like how the SNK sprites were, I'm talking this shit looked like you were playing anime.
It looked
And,
gorgeous.
All the
honestly.
while you're zipping around as Robo-Kai and having little tiny bombs shoot out of your kneecaps, and you're playing as the one-armed, pink-haired samurai biken, this kind of music is playing.
Oh, dude. Rebel 1. Heaven or hell. Let's rock.
The song is called In the Arms of Death.
There's one with an absolutely wild guitar solo, and I can't remember whose name it was.
There's so many with absolutely wild guitar solos. I wanted to play one more. There's a character named Potemkin, who is the
Yes.
the Russian representative. I believe his name is a reference to the movie The Battleship Potemkin. He's this giant collared beast with hulking
he's the
hands. He
grappler.
is so he has the craziest proportions, and this is the music that plays at his level. That's the droppiest D I've ever heard on a guitar.
Somebody was playing.
Listen to that. This is the PlayStation 2, and you are playing the most anime game you've ever seen, and also this is the soundtrack. It's absolutely a banger.
I mean,
of a game.
I'm a huge Mortal Kombat fan, but Mortal Kombat's never going to achieve that level of badassery.
Ed Boon can't play guitar that well.
Not to
Right.
mention, guys,
Sorry, Ed.
the Guilty Gear. If you haven't played any of the Guilty Gear games, they have this one-hit kill mechanic, like that all the characters can engage in. Where if your back is to the wall, you can throw away your super meter to turn on this one-hit kill ready mode, where you do a specific input. If you can catch your opponent with it, you'll just instantly slay them.
You win.
And that makes for some insane drama. I just remember oh, you're about to die, and you could just, and then you just catch that one little hitbox with Johnny or whatever.
Yes, Zappa was my boy
sick.
right here that I played as. He's the one that's possessed by basically Sadako from The Ring. He had like a finisher. That was his instant kill, frightening, which literally was the Onryo fucking kills them, and the squirrely eyeball pops up on screen and murders them.
Ah, that's
Oh.
so
The inputs
cool.
are ridiculous. Like the inputs for his instant kill were punch, kick, slash, and hard. So your 4 buttons simultaneously, and then like a double fireball movement and hard. So it wasn't super hard to do them, but yeah, you lost if you failed.
Yeah. It is a fast-paced, kick-ass 2D fighter that I would love to get in a box from Retro Game Treasure, personally.
Hell yeah.
What kind
That'd be
of
a treat.
categories are these guys having to select to get a game like this, Buck?
Yeah, well, fighting games is obviously one that you can select. Not everybody likes fighting games, but if you like them, you usually love them. Believe it or not, Guilty Gear is not super gruesome, so it is rated just T for teen, so it doesn't fall into any weird category like mature games or anything like that. There are subgenres, and one of them you can select is anime, that you like anime, and if you don't select anime as one of your liked things, you probably will not receive this. Kind of like when we talked about Wipeout XL. If you chose racing games but you didn't choose sci-fi, they don't cross over that well. So.
Right, no kidding.
Oh, interesting.
Nice. Well, that's enough gushing about that. We're going to take a quick break, and then we will be back with our first segment. All right, guys, we are back, and we're going to talk about Death Stranding. Oh, wait, hold on. What is this? Something's patching into my computer. What is? I'm getting a message about connection from. What is? Hold on. I'm going to pop it up on the main screen.
My lords, my ladies, I now present to you
What?
the
His Majesty is here.
King of video games.
Oh my God! I'm not dressed.
Game Treasure Crew, it is I, the king of video games.
My second favorite.
Hi,
thing.
King.
What's that smell? It doesn't matter. Have you ever wanted to go on an adventure?
Yes.
Perhaps explore new wilds, places never seen before? Today, I need you to give me game gems of the adventure game variety. I'm so bored at home. Please get me adventure game gems.
Hi, King.
Your Majesty, don't worry.
Majesty.
We got you. We got you.
Wow, that's crazy. On the week that we're going to talk about Death Stranding, the King of Video Games patched in through the chiral network and asked us to talk about adventure games.
Wow.
That's crazy. And you know what? My favorite thing about the King of Video Games is you can tell he really prepares what he's going to say ahead of time, and he doesn't stumble up what he's saying and doesn't just ad lib stupid things like what's that smell?
Not even once.
Don't
Not
point
even
it out.
not even that one time. Well, you know what? King of Video Games, that's an excellent request that I think we could fulfill. But I do want to preface King of Video Games that adventure games is a pretty wide category of
It is.
games.
It
And
is.
so, you know, we've assembled probably a wider range of different types of adventure games throughout our careers as video gamers. So forgive us if we have any crossovers, but I think you'll find that our tributes will be satisfactory. I will go first. I will go first with one that many people might call a point-and-click adventure game. Am I talking about Monkey Island? No, I'm not. I'm talking about a game that I like better than Monkey Island, and I'm going to catch some heat for that. It's Pac-Man 2, The New Adventures for the Super Nintendo.
Baby. You
Whoa.
gotta warn a guy.
Whoa. I was not ready for that, bro.
Look at, watch this. Watch how quickly this is within reach. Bam! I
Boom,
love
baby.
this game too.
For real.
Hey,
for real.
man. So 1994 is the year. This game comes out for the Super Nintendo, and it comes out for Genesis in America. Hi, listeners. Max Stein here. Just letting you know, if you're currently driving your car or doing dishes and just listening to the Retro Game Treasure podcast, I implore you to pull your car over or throw your dishes in the trash and watch the following commercial for Pac-Man 2 that was released in North America. I repeat, you must pull over your car and watch this commercial. Thank you.
So, you got friends, but imagine if you had one special friend.
Hi, I'm your buddy.
One that would do anything for you.
Here, drink this. Chewy. Where this?
Well, you can with Pac-Man 2, the cool interactive cartoon. He's your best pal, and no matter how much you abuse him, he'll still come back for more. So get Pac-Man 2 for Sega and Super NES.
Get the box.
I mean, what are friends for?
Not as good.
I never played the Genesis one.
Not as good.
I looked it up. It didn't look as good.
Or
Something
sound.
about the sound of that Genesis chip is very chunky. I don't know. But
Yeah.
for the Super Nintendo, it was, you know, that sound chip lends itself to the happier, lighter bleeps and bloops. And so this Pac-Man game, obviously developed and published by Namco. I didn't realize this. In Japan, this game is called Hello Pac-Man, which is,
Sounds
I
about
think,
right.
a better name. I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
Every time people talk about this game, like I listen to other podcasts and people don't like this game. I don't understand why. And I don't know if it's because it's called Pac-Man 2, if they're like, this isn't Pac-Man.
Right.
So maybe it should have been called Hello Pac-Man. But the main function of this game is okay, so point and click adventures. Normally you have this two-dimensional plane, right? And you're guiding a character around an area and trying to find clues and things like that. The thing that makes Pac-Man 2 different is you do not control Pac-Man. Pac-Man will just walk from left to right or from right to left. And the only way you can interact with him is you have a slingshot that is loaded with power pellets, like from Pac-Man, like little yellow orbs. and you can pull it back and use a little crosshair that's on the screen to sling a power pellet at different objects in the world.
Giving him
And
suggestions.
yes, and so the way that you sort of like he just sort of blindly walks from left to right, and so there'll be a moment where you'll notice that he's about to walk under a ladder, and then you realize that when he walks into the ladder, a paint can that's on the ladder falls on his head. So you die and you try again, and the next time you take the slingshot, hit the paint can that's on top of the ladder. It falls before he goes under the ladder, and then he does what Buck says and looks at the ladder and goes like, wow, 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 and then just like
So good.
it keeps
So
walking.
good.
And, there's like a subplot about like there's a witch
Yeah.
like who's working with Inky, Blinky, and Clyde
Yeah.
to get you. I guess is a general
Doesn't
get you.
matter.
You've got like
A general
Mrs.
get you.
Pac-Man in it, and Baby Pac-Man is in it, and this little dog Pac-Man, and like I said, I think it gets flack for not being like as hardcore as other adventure games because it's kind of like kiddie, but it was the first Super Nintendo game I ever beat, and I really like it.
Oh, you beat it? That's great. It's
Yeah.
cool as shit. I literally have a horror, mostly Resident Evil streamer that I watch, and he streamed this entire game beginning to end one time. So
Wow.
That's funny.
yeah, I mean, if you guys never played it, it's. I think you hit the nail on the head. If they had named it something different, or if they didn't try so hard to make it Pac-Land and just put another character in here, this was a really cool game because there are like no other games for the SNES like this. Certainly not
Right.
in the States. We got some like the original Clock Tower in Japan. That was a point and click kind of, but this one.
That's a good point, Buck. It's true. They're just like between like that and Mario Paint. These were games that I could play. You know what I mean? Like as a kid, they were, I don't know, less hardcore maybe, but
Right.
personally, I like I said, Pac-Man 2 will always hold a special place in my heart when it comes to adventure games. I think it's adorable. Buck, what about yourself? What gems have you brought the king of video games?
You know, I have two in particular for the king because when most importantly, when I think of exploration adventure games, that is a very broad category for me. I'd say the first one of all is I cannot think about exploration games without thinking about puzzles being part of those games.
Sure.
So things like Seventh Guest, Shivers, Phantasmagoria, stuff like that comes to mind for me. But the one I picked out in particular is one that I absolutely loved by Vic Takai, and that was Mansion of Hidden Souls.
Ooh, I don't
Especially
know
for the
this.
Sega
Oh wait,
CD.
no, oh my god,
The butterfly-
yes.
You recognize it now that you've seen
Holy
the box.
shit, yes.
With the butterflies. They made
The
a Sega-
coaster.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, the coaster. That's right. They made a version for the Saturn where instead of butterflies, they're like heads. It was weird, but this was a very early. Not really. It wasn't FMV. It was like pre-rendered FMV backgrounds where you moved first-person style, not really a point and click. Had lots of environmental puzzles. They weren't direct puzzles like Seventh Guest was. Super spooky vibe, but you know, like we've determined here, no combat in exploration adventure games really for the most part, right? So absolutely wonderful. You can't really get this anywhere modern. I don't even know if they put it maybe on your phone. I don't know. It's a shame because it's a fun game to explore and play with. We used to have not sleepovers but wakeovers at my house when I was in middle school, and we would play games like this all night and try to beat them, which is just a giant process of trial and error.
Fun.
Hell yeah, good one.
But this really amazing one that I'll bring to you, King, that is a tad bit more accessible is what better than to adventure through the depths of the human psyche than in Indigo Prophecy slash Fahrenheit.
Oh, that's a good
Nice.
one.
Good choice.
You don't, there's not, I mean, I guess there's combat. I don't know. Look,
Nah.
I'll be honest, okay? The ending of this game is super weak, but the first two acts are so good.
Yeah.
I have never played a demo for a game more than I played the demo for this game because the demo is you in a diner. You walk into said diner, lose control of you lose control of your functions. You're not yourself. You don't know why, and you proceed to murder someone in the bathroom of the diner.
Wow.
Then as you're looking in the mirror, the game hands over and says, okay, now what do you do? Like,
Right.
oh my God, what would I
You
do
just
if I
killed somebody. Yeah.
killed
What do you
somebody?
do? Right.
And that scene alone, you
Worth
can, you know, do you wash off the knife? Do you hide the knife in an air vent? Do you hide the body in there? Do you just walk casually out the front? And if you go to walk casually out the front of the diner, and there's a cop in the diner, and you're about to get out the front door, and the waitress is like, "Hey, you!" and you're like, "Yes." You forgot to pay your bill, sir. Oh, of course I
Yeah.
did. You go back, do you crawl out the back window of and so a bunch of this game is decisions that you make because you're now on the lam, obviously, after that, but decisions that you make that affect things going on with your character's psyche. And that decision alone, sold me on the game. I think Venny played this one too as well. We've had conversations about it before.
I did. That whole the whole Quantic Dream suite of games. That was the original maker of Indigo Prophecy.
They
Before
made
it was
Heavy Rain
Fahrenheit.
also, right?
They made Heavy Rain. They made Beyond Two Souls, and the most recent Detroit Become Human.
Great game. Yeah,
Detroit is insane.
Yeah.
They have a niche of like, if you most of you have probably played more Heavy Rain because it was certainly more popular and it was a little more modern, and that's like a more advanced version of this game. But so you get the idea though, that it's exploration where they're just constantly messing with you and things that are beyond your control. And now what happens?
It's like playing a
And
movie.
Heavy Rain.
It's a good ass game.
Jason.
Yeah.
That is an excellent game, I
Jason.
think, for the
Just for you,
adventure
King.
games. That was long before the Telltale stuff. And they definitely owe a lot to that production company in those games.
Absolutely.
If you don't know, Wrath.
Well, I have two things to present here, a game and a video. So the game for the pleasure of the king is a game called Outer Wilds. Developed
Nice.
by Mobius Digital and published by Annapurna Interactive. Outer Wilds, you play a little alien dude who is a space explorer. You wake up one day on the eve of your first launch, and you launch your ship after a short tutorial on how to do that, and you go off into space with absolutely no direction at all. The game gives you no hints as to what you're supposed to do. And you just explore this very self-contained solar system that, while being small and self-contained, still feels big and epic in the way that you can explore it. And you can explore it in any order that you please. The game doesn't really tell it holds its story very close to its chest. You have to kind of like dig it out by being an archaeologist, basically, by going from planet to planet, finding ancient ruins, finding ancient writing and translating it, and slowly revealing this crazy story that by the end of your first day, you realize that every day the sun explodes and kills everybody in the solar system.
Oh, it's like Groundhog Day.
And then you wake up and you do it again. Exactly. And you're the only one that has any memory of what's going on, with the exception of a couple of characters. I won't spoil that. But this game came to me at a very weird time in my life. It was during the pandemic, and I actually had COVID, and I was in quarantine, and I spent the entire quarantine basically watching YouTube videos and playing this game, and just it does a whole lot of things with contemplations of like mortality and what it means to love the people around you, and it's a very beautiful game. I never felt things that I felt while playing this game. It's just a very, very gorgeous game, and I highly recommend it.
Makes me feel kind of funny, like when we used to climb the ropes in gym class.
And my other thing that I want to present is actually a video, and it's a video by a YouTuber called Mandalore Gaming. This guy specializes in adventure games and just makes videos on kind of like the more obscure and kind of weird adventure games. I'm going to put a link to the video in the Discord for you guys. Just if you want to check it out, check it out. It's about an hour and 14 minutes long, and he plays through the entirety of Mystery of the Druids. If you don't know what Mystery of the Druids is, Mystery of the Druids has a very famous meme that comes from it. It's that screaming druid guy where he's like, yeah, look it up. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But this game is absurd. It's just the craziest thing I've ever seen. You play a detective from Scotland Yard who's investigating some murders where people have been found as just desiccated skeletons. And it's all because of some ancient druidic ritual to like take over the world. I have no idea exactly what the game is about, but it is.
This is like the same generation of like the old Alone in the Dark games and
Yeah,
stuff, where they
yeah.
all were the same.
Very
like,
LucasArts adventure game sort of deal. Check it out. The video is a lot of fun. Like I said, it's an hour 14 minutes, and the guy does a really great job of showing you what this game is, playing it through the end, and just it's a lot of fun. Like the video itself is very funny. But yeah, those are my my adventure gems for the king.
Very interesting, that video.
Yeah.
Oh, Venny, your gems.
I made the mistake, Your Majesty, of clicking the video that Raph shared and clicked to the middle of it and saw something very disturbing. So.
I think I know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh, why did I click that part?
Is it the screaming? The scene with the
Yes,
screaming?
yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's the scene with the screaming.
Yeah, you guys got to watch the video. It's a lot of fun.
I'm gonna need a minute. Your Majesty.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
Submitted for your approval, the King of Video Games, I bring to you one that you may not expect. I have a long history with this game. It's a series of games, actually. I feel like it definitely falls into the adventure arena because you're moving between locales, investigating clues, coming up with logic puzzles and such like that, interviewing people, and you end up in the courtroom. King of Video Games, if you haven't figured it out by now, I am talking about the Ace Attorney franchise from Capcom.
Nice. That is a very, very good pick.
Also called Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney in the US. Here we go. It originated on the Game Boy Advance in Japan, but in the US, it made its debut on the Nintendo DS. These 5 are the physicals. This is Ace Attorney 1 through 5 and 1 through 4 and Ace Attorney Investigations. After that, they were either download only or they were actually, we did not even get Ace Attorney Investigations Part 2 in the US. It was a Japanese only title. Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney is a game exactly that, where you are going around to locations, finding clues, interviewing witnesses and suspects, and then because you are a fledgling attorney, and it follows a very, very cool story that threads all the way through all the games, even to the next generation. Part 4, where the new attorney takes center stage, Apollo Justice, is just insanely good. And it does give you that sense of real life investigatory adventure with a comedic anime kind of twist going on.
Yes.
And you will never, ever for the rest of your life not hear objection in your head whenever you're watching a courtroom drama or see something. It's a part of your eternal psyche. And I actually have cosplayed Phoenix Wright at Dragon Con twice. I'm gonna need to share pictures of that one. I did part 1 through 3 Phoenix in his signature blue suit, and then I did Daddy Phoenix from part 4 when he is no longer the main protagonist with the little beanie, the little turquoise beanie and everything. So, King of Video Games, I hope you enjoy Phoenix Wright.
So good. You're a defense attorney too, just to clarify, which makes it so much cooler to me.
Because the bad guys are the prosecutors, right?
Yeah, they're trying to put criminals in jail, but then the twist is that they're not criminals; they're being falsely accused.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know
we're not gonna. Oh, good.
No, I was gonna say, you know what I love about that series is that it really does go into exploration. Because on the surface, people looking at it will go, "Oh, it's a visual novel. I'm not into visual novels,"
right?
Because it does look like that. But where it goes that extra step is the exploration crossed with it's a deductive puzzle game. You know, you have to figure out what's wrong here, what's not correct, what is off in what scenario, and that's where the objection comes from, because you object and say, no, wait, if this had happened, the clock would have been set to 5:35, not 6:35, because time had already passed and they had set the clock before they changed time zones or whatever. And you have to basically solve a logic puzzle. Which is what I absolutely have always adored that about these games.
I have to say, it's got an amazing home on the DS and the 3DS.
Yeah.
The first game, like I said, was originally a GBA title, but when they ported it over into the US for Phoenix Wright 1, they added the 5th case, which originally was only 4. They added the 5th case in the first title, and that they were aware that this was going to be on the DS.
The touchscreen.
So the touchscreen. I have to tell you, the very first time I took the stylus for the DS and tap, 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 put dust, and had to blow on my Nintendo DS to blow the dust off, to dust for prints on a piece of evidence.
So
this was 2007, guys.
insane.
I was losing my mind how cool that was.
Yeah. Just the fact that they made a game where you're a lawyer, I remember being like, "What?" Like, you can't. I love when people make games where you're doing regular work. And then again,
Look,
it's a
Phoenix
job.
Wright, then he appeared in Tatsunoko versus Capcom as a fighting game character. There is an anime, the
Oh my
Phoenix
God,
Wright
that's
Ace Attorney anime now, and the music is just mwah. Buck
Yeah.
knows how much of a video game
because
music
there's
connoisseur
a
I am.
Japanese Broadway show that they did of it as
Oh.
well.
Yeah.
Oh,
I would
yeah.
argue that
All
There
female
is-
cast. All
There is
female
a,
cast.
if you've never heard of Takarazuka, that is a rabbit hole. It's an all-female Japanese theater troupe spanning
Holy
over
shit.
multiple houses. I have the DVD somewhere around here of the imported Phoenix Wright Takarazuka
Holy
musical.
crap.
Wow.
I'm a fan.
Wow. That is a great pick. I think that's really interesting. Like you said, the parts where you're going and inquiring test statements from people and looking for evidence absolutely plops it in that adventure adjacent category. All right. Well, that does it. King of video games. We hope that those gems appease you through another week of taxes. And we'll hopefully see you again. But we need to move on to our main story. All right, guys, we're back, and we're here to talk about Death Stranding. Holy kimoli.
How'd you
Man,
enjoy walking, Mac?
Man, all right. I liked it. Let me just this is another one of those things where one bite at a time. Here we go. Developed by Kojima Productions, published by Sony. Death Stranding is the first in a new genre of games called Strand-Type games. I'm of course kidding, but also I'm not kidding because that's something that the guy that made the game actually said. He actually said that he perceives that this gameplay is some sort of new style of gameplay, and he might not be wrong. So, geez, man, Hideo Kojima. I wanted to just start real quick by doing a quick temperature check on how we feel about this guy, Hideo Kojima. Famous Konami video game creator for years and years and years. He's responsible for the Metal Gear Solid franchise, Zone of the Enders. What else? What's the game where you're the detective?
Oh, Snatcher.
Snatcher.
Yeah.
A whole slew of crazy video games. To
Always wanted
me,
to play Snatcher.
my synopsis of how I feel about Hideo Kojima is he is the David Lynch of video games.
That's it right there.
This is the most
For sure.
expensive game in my video game collection.
Wow.
This is an original copy of Snatcher for the Sega CD.
Wow.
It's not an easy one to find, honestly.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
No, it is not at all. So released November 8th, 2019, originally for the PS4. Death Stranding is a game where you play as Norman Reedus in the post-apocalypse. You are a porter. That is to say, you're a delivery man. This is a 10,000 feet view of what this game is. You're a delivery man in the post-apocalypse, and you are single-handedly attempting to reconnect all of the remaining cities in North America to one another. Connect? What do you mean, Mac? I mean, like through the internet? Like through the internet, I guess. I actually am. I'm the person who's played this game the least. But so I'm gonna let these other guys explain their feelings on it. But yeah, again, that's the 10,000 foot view. You're a delivery guy. Specifically, you're Norman Reedus as a delivery guy in the post-apocalyptic future. Buck,
what?
How do you feel about Death Stranding?
Buck's like, pass.
That's my first
I
question.
mean-
In general, how do you feel?
Now, it's not that, I love Kojima and I love his shit. I loved all the Metal Gear games. So obviously after the whole falling out with Konami, we were all like, all right, you're right. Fuck Konami. Let's see what you got for us, pal. And he did not disappoint in all of the areas that he normally delivers for us. It's just a mind fuck, man. Like
It is.
Yeah.
You never feel like they explain what's going on. Like, granted, I did not beat it, but I played a handful of hours, so maybe Raph can put a little bit more into it. But I think I played at least 30 some plus hours into the game, and
I want to say I'm in the same boat as you, actually, because I'm about halfway through. I want to say.
I feel like
Yeah. I said earlier before we started recording, I've played for 13 hours, which means I know absolutely nothing
That
about
means
the
you saw
game.
2 cutscenes.
No,
and you took your
basically,
first shower.
you know the controls now. Congratulations.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not to be
Raph?
able to commit them from memory.
I've played for roughly about the same. I've gotten about halfway through the game, and I kind of know about as much as you guys. I mean, it's a beautiful game. Honestly, it's a game that has it's hit me with a few emotional moments like while I'm playing it. I think that my favorite aspect of the game is the sparse soundtrack.
Yeah.
The way that there is no music for most of the game, but then when it hits you with the music, it hits at a really good moment typically. Particularly those low roar tracks. That's like, I feel like this game put low roar on the map. It's the only
Yeah.
time I'd ever heard this band. But you know, they played that one Don't Be So Serious the first time when you're kind of
Yeah.
just hiking through
Yeah.
through
the
the
timing's good.
wilderness.
Yeah.
And
I
then
feel like-
again, was that?
I feel like if it was anybody else, they would have just called it lazy. But since it's Kojima, it was like, no, everything was on purpose.
And you know, and the thing
every
is that you
quiet
can
moment,
tell.
everything.
You can
Yes.
tell everything
Yes.
is handcrafted by the man.
Yes.
Like it's
Yes.
just like he has a very specific vision with the way it's supposed to play, supposed to look. And I honestly, I really do love the game. I love something about making a delivery feels exceptional. You know, it just, you feel very, very good after you make a delivery.
Yeah.
Everybody's really happy with you, and the journey to get there was so harrowing sometimes. Like you get to certain areas later on in the game where, you know, you have kind of these blasted out landscapes that, you know, you come through like the grassy fields, and all of a sudden you're kind of like almost like in a desert with just like, it looks like Mars, you know? And having to
Right.
traverse that while the weather is hitting you, while you're running into BTs, while you're running into, which BTs are the ghosts that the invisible ghosts that you
Of course there's ghosts.
see with the baby attached to your chest.
Do you see why I'm still confused 30 hours later?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mr.
I know.
Venikor, your thoughts on
So-
Death Stranding?
Death Stranding, I think I'm in the same boat, unfortunately, as both of you. And at the same time, you know, Raph and Buck specifically, at the same time, I have a very good friend who, when I began playing Death Stranding, he saw on PlayStation that I was playing Death Stranding, and he said, oh my God, you're playing Death Stranding. Let me know what you think. You're not going to know until like the very end. So, you know, no spoiler, blah, blah, blah. I
Mm.
don't think I don't think any of us have hit the actual crux of that game from what I have heard. There are things that I know have happened that I know happened in that game that I have not even seen traces of in your explanations.
Yeah.
So, but as far as the gameplay goes in that first half of the game, I know that it is not nearly as thrilling as and pulse pounding and like edge of your seat as the second half. I have seen little bits of the second half, and I gotta say I need to give this game its fair shot later on. So, but you know, one thing I can say really nice about the game is that it takes that feeling of a living environment to a whole new level. It really does.
yeah,
And the interaction with other players via the online in ways that you wouldn't expect, like you can drop a little supply point or a broadcast point, and other players in their playthrough can take advantage of what you've done, and or even leave supplies for you to help enhance your own game. It's like this community thing, which is interesting. It's different. But I feel like I was just getting to the point in that game where it was really getting super, super interesting.
Same for me.
And then it's game distraction syndrome, guys. I say it
Yeah,
all the
yeah,
time, especially on Twitch. I'm loving this game. I'm enjoying this game. Oh shit, the new Final Fantasy just came out. You know what I mean?
right,
So
yeah.
10-year-old barony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I spread
that's
myself
my
very thin. Yeah. when it
that's
comes
that's
to
my
gaming.
issue these days
all
with
do.
gaming, is that there is so many good things coming out all the time, and now to be a gamer you have to keep up, and it's impossible to keep up and fully play through some of this stuff at the same time. I know a few people who beat games in 2 or 3 days, and I don't understand how they do it. I truly do not. I know some of these people on Twitter, and they
called
literally
retirement.
do play everything. It's amazing to me. But not to get off topic, but Death Stranding, it's incredible experience. I want to keep going with it. I want to give it its fair shot.
Yeah.
I just I'm at a point where like things are they slowly get revealed to you, and I like the way that they do it too. The whole Mads Mikkelsen cutscenes that show up like every time that you leave your home base.
By the way, Mads Mikkelsen is in this game.
Yeah, Mads Mikkelsen is
He
it.
plays a
he's
guy
so
with a
is
skull mask
Yeah,
and
I was gonna say,
fucking
he
Guillermo del
plays-
Toro. Like
yeah,
it's
dude.
yeah.
Guillermo
Troy
del
Baker's in
Toro,
it.
the guy from
That's it, oh, yeah.
Westworld is in this game, right?
Yeah.
Is that
He's
who
like
that
your
is?
he's
Die
like your
Hardman?
Otacon. He's like your Otacon
Dude.
in this. He's like your
Yeah,
guy.
Die Hartman. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
basically
You
that.
have to be in the right mood to play this game
Mhm.
because it is really a mixture of lots of walking
Mhm.
and long cutscenes.
Long
Yeah.
cutscenes.
And where it threw me for a loop is when you get to those when you start to get to the boss fights, and the controls are not very intuitive. You have
Yeah.
all these things at your disposal,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's like we said before. We were talking about. It's like I need to send out this sonar scope so I can track this. How do I do that? Oh, you press L1 with up and then click in the right thumbstick while running to the right.
No, not hold L1. I said press L1.
Shit.
Fucking
And,
goddamn it.
It's hard to reproduce what you need to do at that spot. So
Yeah.
those throw you for a loop because they're so few and far between.
Yeah.
And you got to be ready for them.
I've only come across a couple encounters with enemies, but basically, if I get caught, I just restart because I'm just like, it's not worth it. Like
There is a boss fight where you are like stuck in waist high sludge.
yeah.
So take all those frantic things and now cut your character's speed down to like 20%.
Yeah.
Don't worry, you can just throw a grenade of piss or shit at them. That's
Yeah.
right. In this game,
blood.
you use the bathroom as Norman Reedus and take a shower, and you collect those drippings and use them as weapons against these as Raph referenced earlier, these invisible ghosts called BTs, who you are able to see because you are attached to a baby that has stopped developing at a certain age, old enough to intake external information and have memories. But since babies can see things that are on the other side because they're so not far removed from being born, you share memories with the babies through a tube, and that's how you're able to see the ghosts. This game's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Okay? So this is me. Okay, ready? I'm putting on my art snob hat. This is a little hat I have in my wardrobe that I like to put on whenever I really like strange art things. And you know what? I like this. I like this strange art piece that Hideo Kojima has crafted. On my notes, I wrote, in Wikipedia, this game is listed as an action game. I beg to differ. I do not think it is at all. I think it is a cinema game. I think that almost the crux of every moment of the game revolves around Hideo Kojima trying to tell you that he loves movies. There's moments where you just watch Norman Reedus take a poop, take a pee, drink a Monster, like look at his toys.
I forgot about the monsters.
And all of these things, during all of this, you can swivel the camera all the way around and look at different stuff in the room. And as I'm swiveling around the camera around Norman Reedus, I notice that he does give you freedom to swivel the camera. However, he controls the composition. As you swivel the camera, it will zoom backwards and forwards to make Norman Reedus smaller or larger in the frame, depending on what looks best.
Yeah.
And as I'm watching, I'm going, this is some cinematography shit. I've gone to school for this. This guy loves movies, and he wants to make every moment of this game a fucking movie.
Seems fine to me.
I gotta say, like Raph said, the planning of the routes and the delivering feels exceptional. I had a part where I had to sneak into like a bad guy base and steal something from them. And through trial and error, I ended up figuring out that if you have any like valuable shit on you, they'll scan you. So it's like, oh, so if you're going to do one of these, you can't carry your shit with you. What do I do with all this shit? And then it's like Vinny said, there'll be like mailboxes that like other people who are connected to the internet will put there. And then you can like drop your shit in a mailbox and then like come get it later. Or you can just like be a good guy and just like give it away.
I
They
want to
also
play
make
it
decoy
now.
packages
Damn it.
that you there's like decoy packages you can drop so that when they do the scan, they go for that. And then
Yes.
Mac, you haven't gotten to us, but later on, you actually connect a weather station to the Chiral network, and you can
that
actually
would be incredibly helpful.
you can track the rain, the time fall. By the way, the rain makes time accelerate. there's
and
that.
that's what makes the ghosts appear.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, I forgot
The
about
rain
that. See, it's
degrades your
weird
package qualities. It's all about you have to physically stack the packages on your back, and there's something satisfying to stacking them the right way.
Yeah.
And the different shapes of the packages, and like being like, oh, this thing is worth a lot, but it's so big, I don't know what to do. But I still have my snob hat on, and I wanted to mention that the first thing that happens in this game is that you take the corpse of your dead mom, who is the president, to an incinerator, because in this world, if a person dies and their body isn't incinerated, they basically will do the third impact from Evangelion.
That's true.
This is
accurate.
That's
the
true.
first thing that happens in the game. I cannot help but, like, as soon as I'll go, this guy loves America. Hideo Kojima, all of his games revolve around the politics of America.
He's
Yeah.
a
He's a
Westaboo.
Westaboo.
It's
He's a
so
Westaboo. He's a Westaboo. I like that. Oh, man.
I when this game first came out, I thought I want like that. I don't want to play a game where you're just walking around, but I was wrong. It feels really good. The walking feels really good. I like one of the main mechanics is grabbing onto your backpack so you don't tip over. And I just thought to myself, well, that stinks. Like, what are you just gonna hold on the whole time? But then it's
You
like,
don't
no,
have to,
you
yeah.
actually don't have to, because there is a rhythm to the walking. Like it's when you bend to the right, you got to hold to the left. When you bend to the left, you got to hold to the right. So once I realized that, I was like, oh, you can get good at walking. And then you have this
there.
scanner.
It's a literal walking simulator.
You have a scanner that will give you a visual representation
Slide to the left.
of
Slide to the right. Walk now.
the square. The scanner will tell you
Sounds
what
really
ground is safe versus what ground is not so safe, and it seems like there's some sort of calculation going on in the background of the game that basically takes how heavy you are, combined with how fast you're moving, combined with how dangerous the terrain you are walking over is, and sometimes you will just randomly trip. And it seems stupid, but I was running the other day and almost tripped and thought to myself, I do that in real life all the time. Like, like,
I was running, Jenny, and I dropped my packages in the mud.
Are there
river was
any
deeper.
particular like moments in this game that kind of stood out to you? Like, have you run into any particular sequences that really
Oh,
like, oh man, this
yes,
is like
thank
sticks
you
in my head?
for reminding me.
I have a couple actually.
In the very
yeah.
beginning of the game, just real quick, there's a moment where you are in a truck with a bunch of other porters, and your truck gets not hijacked, but like it gets like attacked by a bunch of BTs. And a la Skyrim, your perspective is from the back of the truck. And you're kind of over Sam's shoulder, but not really. And then there's a part where Sam ducks down, and so you can't see over the wall of the truck. And again, Hideo Kojima just just do with the camera. You can zoom in, and it's like there's nothing here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I ended up finding myself. I was like not looking at anything, and then I started to scan around because like the BTs are attacking, and then you can't see anything. And so I keep spinning the camera because I'm like, where am I supposed to be looking? Like, where's the action? And then like my snob hat floated out of the closet and put itself on me. And I said, this is so fucking artistic, because the premise is you don't know this, but the enemies are invisible at this point of the game. So they're probably all around you. And I felt compelled to keep spinning the camera. It wasn't like when you're doing that intro to Skyrim where you look around for
That
like a
happened
second and then
this-
you're just like, whatever.
Same thing happened to me, Mac. I was like, what am I supposed to be doing right now? I know
Yes.
exactly what you're talking about.
And I just kept spinning the camera and spinning and spinning and just going like, fuck. And then it finishes and you don't ever see anything. And then I went, wow, what a badass. Like, what?
Do I just die now?
Yeah.
What
Right.
do I do?
What's the opposite of exciting again?
And then by the way, you do die, and then you get reborn as naked Norman Reedus on a beach holding a baby. And you're like, what the fuck is happening? This game is
Oh, man.
crazy.
Yeah, that's the other thing. You're an expatriate, so when you die, you always come back.
Yeah, you're an
Yeah.
expatriate. So when
Yeah.
you die, you come back to life
Yeah.
on the shores of the Pacific Ocean. Anyhow.
So straight up, like my two favorite things in this game, my favorite moment in this game was there's a scene where you have to go back to I guess in the beginning of the game they mentioned that one of like the capitals, like North City, I think was blown up.
Right,
and you
that's what
actually have
happens
to,
in the beginning of the game.
right, yeah, you have to go into the ruins of that city later, and this is the moment where this game turns into a like full on horror game, because it's dark, it's raining, and there are BTs everywhere. So I'm there like literally, in the game holding my breath, because that's a thing you have to do when BTs are close by. And then actually holding my breath in the game, like, freaking out like in real life. And it's just one of the scariest moments in the game, and one of the scariest moments in a game that I've played in general.
Yeah.
The other thing that I really love, but I avoid doing this mission every single time, is that there's a pizza delivery mission. And you have to keep the box horizontal or else it ruins the pizza. So I never do this mission because I always drop the freaking pizza, man.
Either
I
you
always
will
accidentally
fall or you stack it wrong.
I'm moving stuff in my pack around. It accidentally flips, and I'm like, okay, great, pizza ruined. That's it.
Pizza ruined.
That's it.
But if you hold
I give
L2
up.
and R2 while clicking in both the right sticks and tilting your controller forward, you can catch
Make-
the pizza.
You can
Yeah.
make Norman Reedus pee, which is another like you can
On the
pee.
pizza.
You can pee outside. God, it's such a crazy game, man.
Yeah.
It's such a crazy game.
Give me that ass feeding.
I'm glad I played it. I'm glad we do
Yeah,
this
it's
show because it makes me do stuff like buy the director's cut of this game while it's on sale on Steam so that I can play it. And I'm glad I did because it was just like, I get it now. It's cool. I'll try to play more, but it's the game-itis, like Vinny was saying. There's so many other games, but this one wasn't a waste of time. It's something that
No, definitely.
it's also, in one word, it's different.
Yes. Different is a way to
It's
put it, for
certainly
sure.
different.
I gotta play it again. I gotta
Yeah.
give it another shot and play it all the way through because I've heard from people who have finished Death Stranding.
Yeah.
I have heard nothing but shining, raving
Same,
reviews off
Yeah.
of everyone who has actually beaten the game. The only people who I've heard talk negatively about this game have not beat it.
The
Right.
people that bounced off of it early on in the game, like in the first few hours.
Right.
I want to
But
talk about one
Yeah.
more thing with the game. Vehicles. The vehicles in this game are excellent. They
Oh,
feel very,
right.
especially that motorcycle. Once you actually get roads going and there's like lengthy roads that you can ride for a while, that motorcycle, you kick it into gear and it just like that sound it makes. It feels so sci-fi and just
Yeah.
cool,
Yeah.
like, oh
I
man.
did get
The roads are a
motorcycle in some of
collective
those.
group project that it's
Yeah.
like if you ever played Metal Gear Solid 5, like Hideo Kojima wanted everybody to work together in that game to denuclearize the entire planet, like literally,
Man
'cause
is
you can
very
put
worried about nukes. in
yeah,
case
you can put a
didn't know.
nuclear bomb in your base to defend it, and there was an achievement that could be unlocked if everyone turned their nukes off simultaneously, which never happened because then your base would be open, right? So this game almost feels like such a successor to Metal Gear Solid 5, in my opinion, because one of my favorite things to do in Metal Gear Solid 5 was just roam around that crazy ass world. Does anybody else have any other things they want to say about this crazy ass Strand-Type game?
I don't want to restart playing it, and I don't want to go find my PS4.
Yeah.
Fair sentiments.
Yeah,
honestly.
that's fair. All
That's a
right.
lot.
Well, if we don't have anything else, we are going to move on to our What Else You Got and go ahead and wrap up our episode. Kojima, I love you. All right. We're here at the end with our What Else You Got. I'm going to go first. Mine ties perfectly into the game we were just talking about because my What Else You Got is I watched Hideo Kojima - Connecting Worlds, which is a documentary that is on Disney Plus and Hulu right now. And it is just about the making of Death Stranding. So I didn't want to
What?
spoil that I watched this during our segment there, but here's what I'm going to say. If you haven't played Death Stranding and you're like me, where you're like, I don't know, will I like it? I don't know. It sounds kind of crazy. Like I like art. I like David Lynch. I like Twin Peaks. Like I can watch stuff that doesn't make sense, but will I like to play something that doesn't make sense? Watch this documentary before you play the game. Because that's what I did. And it made me, like, as soon as I set into it, I went, oh, I see what they're saying.
Because
I
it
s-
explained things, which the game doesn't.
Exactly. Yeah.
The game does it just it goes about it in a
piecemeals
very
it.
roundabout way.
No, you know what it is? It's not that it explains it for you, but it lets you know ahead of time that you're not going to understand. And that's
Right.
okay because Hideo Kojima is not just trying to make another video game. He's trying to make a challenging art piece for you that you can play.
Mm.
And like the thesis statement for this, like their summation is, he just wants to make something different.
Yeah.
They say that right at the top, and that's why he's just like, I make these stacked, these spy games for years and years and years, and now I just want to do the opposite. I just want to make something else different. And the other thing that really highlights that movie is, again, his fascination with American politics and with
Mhm, mhm.
American movies more than
Yeah.
anything. One of the main characters in this game is played by Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah.
Not an actor, just
They're
like
biffles too.
a famous
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
guy who is also a crazy artist guy who's
Yeah.
totally crazy and weird, and they're just best friends. And now he's the main character of this game, not an actor. And he's in this game, and he sums it up pretty well when he says, "This game, after I played it, I felt like a better person."
Yeah.
And his reasoning is because it makes you think. Every single step that you take, you have to think about, because literally every step is dangerous. Every step could result in you stumbling and falling and possibly ruining everything. And so there are very few games that ask you to constantly think all the time that don't revolve around shooting guns.
Right.
Crossing a river. That's all I gotta say. Think about
Right.
crossing a river and how you would do
That's
that.
fair.
And that game is it. Yeah,
It puts you
gotta
in
be
real-
careful.
Fucking
Yeah.
chore.
I'm walking down a
Yeah.
mountain and I think to myself, could I walk down this steep of mountain in real life? No. So why would I do it? And I'm going to fall. And then it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what he's trying to say. He's trying to put you in that headspace. It's awesome. Go watch it. All right. Buck, what else you
What?
got for us?
What? I like to bring games to this.
Okay.
I like to surprise you with games. Does anybody recognize this shape for you YouTube kids out there?
No.
It's Spotify kids. It's black, but it's a little bigger than a normal cartridge game of said generation because it's virtual racing for the Sega Genesis.
Oh, Jiminy Christmas.
In this wacky ass cart. I wanted to bring this one today because this is just a fun. I'm not a big racing game guy, but back in the day, the way that they used the polygons to make the F1 cars look in this was just phenomenal, and the way that the pit stops and stuff brought action to just the racing portion of it as well. Just a phenomenal Genesis game that got ported to the arcade, and at a time when Nintendo, the Super Nintendo, was starting to kill it with like the Super FX chip. With Star Fox and some of the other games, and Dirt Traffic, Stunt Race FX, and Vortex, and some of these other games that were using the FX chip for polygons for the Genesis to go. Okay, we could do this. We could do this. Kind of not as exciting as Star Fox, but really awesome Genesis game. I know Venny's probably played this.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Classic aesthetic.
Yes, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of newer indie games that have been doing the same thing. There's one in particular that I picked up a month or two back called New Star GP. Imagine this game, but 3 times per race, you can hit a button and rewind up to like 10 seconds.
Oh, yeah, I've seen this.
Because what's the worst thing about a racing game is you're having a perfect race, and you make one freaking mistake, and the whole thing's blown, right?
Slam into a wall.
That game's super good. That game oozes with virtual racing for sure too.
Hell yeah.
Great old school pickup.
In Virtual Fighter,
Good
you can
pick.
play as the cars from Virtual Racing.
Daytona USA car, yeah. Fighting Vipers. That was in Fighting
Yeah,
Vipers.
there you go. Raph, what else you got for us this week?
I got 2 things. Hold on a second. Let me go ahead and grab them. This week, and I got to thank Buck for this, for helping me in my acquisition. But I ended up picking up a Hyperkin Super Retron HD. So I can play some of my old Super Nintendo games because I didn't have a functioning Super Nintendo. And I also picked up, for the first time ever, a copy of this game right here.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I've never played it
One of the
before,
best.
so I've
One
been
of the
playing
best.
this, having a blast. And in my collection of games, I also found something old that I didn't know I owned and I didn't know existed.
I know what this is.
Those are the best.
The Wizard of Oz.
The
for
Wizard
Super
of Oz.
Nintendo.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Trash.
That's a
Brother.
game.
Yes. Okay, so I played it because I was like, I don't remember owning this. It's
Yeah.
like this ghost game that just ended up in my collection somehow. I don't know how it
cousin-
got there. I never played it as a child. Didn't even know I owned it. And so I threw it on the Super Retron and I started
Wow.
playing with it. And I played it for about 15 minutes before I realized it was dog shit.
Nostalgia is a hell of a drug.
This is probably one of the worst games that I've ever played in my life. You play as Dorothy, and for some reason you're shooting stars, and there's giant lemons with faces that fall from the trees that'll kill you if they land on you. You move way too slow, and also you collect butter. Don't know
You-
don't know what's up with that. But you collect what look like bricks of butter. Oh, you know what? I'm just realizing
It's
they could be yellow
gold.
bricks.
Yellow
It
Yeah,
might be
come
gold
on.
or yellow bricks.
Yeah,
no,
it's
it
yellow
looks like
brick
butter.
road.
It's fucking
It's yellow
butter.
brick
Don't
road.
tell me
Honestly,
it's gold. 'cause
I
that is
can't
yellow
believe
brick.
it's not butter. If
Yeah,
I'm being,
it is
if I'm
butter.
being
It
frank.
looks like butter.
I mean, a yellow brick is gonna look
Yeah.
like a stick of butter.
That's
right?
fucking
No. You
That's
can make this
silly.
look nice. You can make it look like a brick. It's a fucking stick of butter, and I
So
will stick to
funny.
that.
Throw this
All right?
dumpster fire up on the
Yeah,
screen during
yeah,
the
we will.
YouTube
Yeah,
iteration.
right here.
Piece of
Just
shit.
don't ever buy this. Don't ever play this. It's horrible.
I wonder if I should add it to the list of shame.
Yeah,
for
there you
retro.
If you like 1950s movie tie-ins.
Yeah.
All right.
This right here, excellent though. This is probably one of the best games
Congrats
I've ever
on
played. I'm having
this.
a blast with it.
Congrats
Yeah, I'm
on
having,
Link to the
There you
Past.
go.
having
Yeah,
a good time with that. Yeah.
All right, Venicor, what else you got for us this week? Anything?
I will bring us home this week. I picked up Unicorn Overlord
fuck.
for the PS5.
Yes.
Shit. Fuck.
How is it?
It is the Final Fantasy Tactics, Shining Force remake that we will never see. No,
Whoa.
guys.
I will
You
see your
can-
Unicorn Overlord, and I will raise you Unicorn Overlord
Wow.
Special Edition.
Oh man.
Attaboy.
All right,
Yes.
go on.
Yes, please. Sorry.
Unicorn Overlord is a real-time tactical RPG with heavy pausing, so it doesn't put that pressure on you. And it has very much a Final Fantasy Tactics Shining Force feel to it. You don't move in like blocks like in those games,
Right.
but it has that almost Final Fantasy 12 set your destination, set your character behavior. And what's really neat about this game, it's beautiful, first of all, by the way.
Vanillaware.
Vanillaware.
Odin Sphere. And
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Crown, yeah.
Just go and check out the trailer and you'll understand what I mean. Every battle is like a little anime fight scene. What do I mean by this? Instead of a single character, you build these squadrons. You have a squad leader, but you can have up to 6 characters per squadron. So you set your squadrons against the enemy squadron, and you just sit back and watch the fight play out based on how
Right.
you set your character's abilities. And there's what it gets a little deeper than that, but at its core, it is just a solid tactical strategy RPG. The director of Final Fantasy Tactics, I forget the gentleman's name off the top of my head, came out openly in support of this game, saying something to the effect of there is not the tactical RPG market is not a deep market. So if you like tactical RPGs, you should consider supporting this game. And
Wow.
and for those of you who knows about me, Final Fantasy Tactics is my favorite game ever. It's my number 1 video game in history.
Wow.
So I was already sold,
Might
and
pop
then
up
I
there,
heard,
yeah.
and then I heard that he came out and said that, and I'm like, wow, that now I have to get it.
It's gorgeous.
So what that
Damn.
means is, I got this instead of 7 Remake Rebirth.
We'll forgive you because this looks gorgeous.
Nice.
This looks gorgeous.
I
It's
was
funny.
going.
We talked about the split of Tactics and 7 and how they
Right.
actually were
It
sort of
happened.
crib mates. You know what I
That
mean?
happened.
Yeah.
But now I can't talk to him about Rebirth stuff, which sucks.
Sorry,
So
you're
check
gonna
this
play
out.
Rebirth. I'm gonna play this.
You guys saw me unboxing the deluxe. I got the collector's edition of this game because Vanillaware only puts out like 2 games a decade. So I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, this is worth the collector's. In addition to that art book and the 16-bit redone soundtrack that comes in this, it comes. This is a cool collector's edition. It comes with a fully
Look
fleshed
at
out
this. Look at this.
4-player card game.
Wow.
A
It
card
comes
with its own rules.
It comes with its own card game. You go, so we got to play
What?
this. It's so. I mean, talk about a cool collector's edition. I've heard this card game is pretty good.
Wow.
Comes with all of that in there too. Magnetic box. Everybody loves magnetic box. Oh man, great job on this collector's edition,
Yeah.
guys. It's
Seriously.
Wow. I'm jealous. That game looks so beautiful. All right. Well, hey, listen. That's our show, y'all.
That's our show.
We did it again. We did another entire episode. Please make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube and Spotify. It really, really helps us out a lot. Thank you so much for everyone who has, by the way. And go check us out on Instagram and TikTok if you'd like. I post on there every once in a while. I went to go see the end of Evangelion in theaters recently, and I posted that on there. And you can find all those links and the links to all of our stuff at linktree/the GTP. Join us next week where we will be doing the first of what we are going to call the console carousel. A carousel is a display box with a rotating device inside of it. So if you had a carousel to display your favorite games of a given console, what would be in that carousel? Specifically, we're doing the Nintendo. Straight up NES. Join
It's
us
gonna
for
be a
that.
long episode.
Yeah.
I'm excited about this one.
Yeah.
I've-
I'm excited. We want to thank Crunkwitch for the use of our theme song, Clash of the Droids. You can find them on Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere you can find music on the internet. And of course, we would like to thank RetroGameTreasure.com, owned and operated by the Megabuck. Retro Game Treasure is a monthly subscription service that sends collectors bespoke boxes of video games every month. I'm talking every console generation from Atari to the PS4. Simply make you. Raph saw the warehouse the other day.
yeah. How was your tour, Raph?
It's
Did you enjoy
impressive,
yourself?
honestly.
Simply make your
Oh, so
profile
cool.
at www.retrogametreasure.com and you'll receive games tailored to fill out your collection. That's right, you fill out a profile, you tell him what kind of games you like, and you get those kinds of games. I do have to clarify, no sports games. You don't want he don't like sports games because he knows they're not good. He knows that you know they're not good. He's not gonna fill your boxes with them.
Yeah,
RetroGameTreasure.com. Obsessed with video games since 1985. We have a shout out before we go for this week's subscribers. Hit
Yeah.
it, Buck.
Want to say welcome to our new subscribers this week of Retro Game Treasure: Anthony Abato, Ryan Petticourt, Keta Hansen, Robert Price, Joseph Mikado, Jeff Stover, Zakaria Woodard, Michael Madison, Paul Noonan, Daniel Vanderbroek, Dakota Ellison, Cody Defoe, Jennifer Fisher, and Samuel Payans.
My name
Hell yeah.
is Mac Porter Stein. And I love the Game Treasure podcast so bad.
So bad.